my sincere appreciation to my team. This is a team effort every time we put together a workshop. It's early morning to late nights. I just wanted you to know also that this is part of our team strategy to support you as much as we possibly can with becoming comfortable with all of the tech virtually, as well as how to move a lady that is just so full of charisma and best smiles. Our lead today is Miss Sharice Myers. Get out your pens, jot some stuff down, and thank you. Thanks, Sharice.
Thank you, Yvelle. And we also have on this particular session with me handling the Q&A, my right hand, my left hand, who has also become more than a colleague, also a friend. You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Rick Roth from HR Training and Development. I'm happy to be here. This is my second course with Sharice. Looking forward to more in the future.
So welcome as you sign in and join us for the second session of Leading Virtual Teams. Last week, we launched this 30-minute series with seeking team input. And today we are going to be focused on clarifying team decisions and deliverables. We'll be here for the next 28 minutes. We'll end this session promptly at 12:30. And I'm going to ask you to also stay alert for part 3. Next week, we'll be here again, same place, same time, 12 to 12:30. And we'll be looking at what it takes to successfully recognize accomplishments to raise the team's equity. Let's be clear, that's pretty important in these times, right? If you're working really hard, and I always say, but nobody knows that you're working really hard or what the contributions are that you're making to the organization. We'll talk more about that next week. Today, I want to start with what are we going to be doing for the next 28 minutes, right? In this 30-minute session for part 2, we're going to talk about how feedback sessions for the project and for the team is actually a journey. It's a journey that you can make more inclusive. We're also going to talk about sharing changes that impact decisions and serve as lessons learned for the project and for the team. Note how I keep saying that, right? Because some of us lead projects and some of us lead teams. Either way, you can utilize these tools. I want to start this session with a question. Here's the question. So we covered this last week, and I want to find out if over the last week, or if in general, because maybe you weren't with us last week, in virtual meetings, is your camera on or off? Answer us in the Q&A. In the Q&A, let us know, is your camera on or off? And Rick's going to read through a few of them. So I just
This is on. Mm-hmm. Yep, I got him. Wow. Mercedes says off. Vivia says on. Ramon says 50-50. Fiona on. Alana off. Lisa depends on the meeting. Joseph off. Looks like it's half and half so far.
Okay, I'm going to take a few more. Diana Archer, I see it's 50-50. Christian says off. Right. So here's some tips, right? If you're going to leave it on, we went over some tips last week, but here are a few more. You can do this thing where you're just too close. Have you seen people who do this one? It just feels like you're, cut off or right in their face. And this little cartoon has quite a few tips here, right? I gotta say this one. It has nothing to do with the look, but it has everything to do with the sound. I'm really over people joining meetings and asking, can you hear me? Can you hear me? So what we want to see is the second picture, right? We want to see your beautiful and handsome faces. Let's say this, that a part of communication is visual. It's actually a really big part. So as you're leading virtual meetings, start to get yourself in the habit of leaving the camera on. Just get yourself prepared for it. Start to practice with it. It will make an impact when you're communicating deliverables, right? I need to see your facial expressions. It does help me in the understanding. And you'll see where we're going with this, right? Question number 2, and I still want to hear from you in the Q&A. In the virtual meetings that you've been attending, is one person speaking or are many people speaking? In the Q&A, let's hear from you. All I need to hear is it one person who's speaking or are there many people speaking? In the Q&A. All right, Rick.
We have many. We have one. Mercedes says many. Nick says various. Roma, many people are speaking at the same time. Let me scroll down. Most of the time, one. We got another many from Mike. Oh, Mike says one. Trying to scroll down. Wesley, a few. Too many from Sandy. Linda, many. Come on.
All right, I'm going to take 2 more, Rick, if we have 2 more.
Just trying to get the computer down. Martin says one. Celeste says many.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to put up these 2 visuals, and I'm going to tell you that this is the difference between one person speaking and many people speaking. Do you see how big that one person is? So if you're the keynote speaker, if you're doing a briefing, if you've got some sort of an update that you need to make on a project, okay, maybe it's one person. But to consistently be leading meetings and you're the only voice that people are hearing, you're the only mind that's communicating messages. I'm just going to stay silent for 1 minute and I'm just going to move to the next picture. And I'm going to say, if what you're looking to do in this arena, remember, we're talking about decisions and deliverables, that information needs to be shared. And for people to have the ability to put the pieces of the puzzle together, then you're going to need to make those conversations more interactive, more two-way, more collaborative conversations is what we're looking to have in this virtual arena to assure that people are clear on what you want them to do, on what's coming next, on when it's done, on when it's due, rather. So part 2 is all about this word deliverable. So again, I want to hear from you. I'm sure we have some project managers who are on this session with us. What's a deliverable? What is that? In the Q&A, you talk to Rick. Tell us what is a deliverable? I'm providing you with an opportunity to show us just how amazing and smart you are. What's a deliverable? What is that? Kind of a word that we throw around. So in the Q&A, Rick is looking to hear from you. What is a deliverable?
And while we're waiting, Lisa actually came up with a good response about the expression. Says, by the way, I totally agree about looking at expressions, but a lot of us are dealing with data lag, which means that we see the expression after the moment has passed.
Ah, yeah, which can be a little weird.
Frustrating?
Yeah, that can be a little strange because you're on a different topic and then the lag happens and the person sees an inappropriate expression, right? So yeah, if you know that you're having data issues, computer issues, having a lag, then if it's a meeting that you attend regularly, you can just be transparent about that, right?
Yeah.
But it's still better for you to appear in the meeting. Also, what we've been recommending is maybe you appear in the meeting with your picture to introduce yourself or to answer a question. And then for some of the other parts, you just turn your camera off, right? That's a great solution if you know that you're having issues. All right, so I'm going to kick it back to you, Rick. Please, they're putting some things into the Q&A. Tell me, what are they saying is a deliverable?
We got a lot of them. We have, let's see, Nick says something that's due. Sapna says output. Roma, answer to questions, products, and timelines. Sapna, goals. Alicia, something able to be delivered. Danielle, what you have finished. Mercedes, a fulfilled assignment. Let's see, who else? Aisha, an end result. Ramon, an action that needs to be completed. Okay. All deliverables, meaning as built. Oh, my screen disappeared. Here we go. Deliverables is a delivered project or part of the project that we have committed to deliver. Eva says report.
Okay, let's make that the last one. Here's what I'm going to say about deliverables, right? How do we shift our deliverables to assure that everybody understands what the deliverable is? So I'm going to talk about deliverables from the perspective of the deliverables journey, right? Let's start with what? What is it that we need to deliver? How? How is it? What is the journey? How are we actually going to get this done? Who? Who is assigned to partner with, collaborate with? Who's going to get it done? When? When is it due? All of those pieces, the how, what, when, where, how, I probably said some things twice, but you get it, are important when we're talking about the understanding component, right? So how do we shift from just looking at deliverables as this finished product to the journey of understanding the deliverables? We mentioned these last week, right? But it's the same components. We need collaboration. You need to reach out to, be in touch with all the different aspects of how this deliverable gets done. More than just departments and divisions that you're going to be partnering with, but also have in mind, or actually reach out and have a focus group, the customer's view, the user's view. Really important to involve them in the collaboration of delivering a deliverable. How can you creatively do that, right? So you want to incorporate this piece of creativity for us to get to a place where we're actually understanding. If we go back to what the previous slide said, right, with the one person speaking as opposed to the other people being involved in the collaboration, then lots of times nobody wants to be the person to speak up and say that they don't understand what the heck you're talking about. So the downfall of those meetings with the one person speaking, although they may be the expert, although they may be the go-to person, is that other people are sitting there scratching their head. They're totally lost. And nobody wants to be the person to speak up and say that. So how do you bring creativity into this thing? You can start to utilize things like technology, and you can also utilize data. People just feel a little bit more comfortable speaking up through these technology vehicles that you can provide. Last week, one of the tips that I shared with you was to create this document where you can brainstorm, right? And on this document, that opens up the space for other people to be of value to the project and to help you along this journey that we call deliverables. So utilize technology and reporting on the data. right? That's just the facts. 2, take us on the journey of the delivery. Let's be clear on the focus and the role. Just out and out identify it, name it, call it what it is. Who is actually doing what, and by when are we looking for you to have that information to us? Be crystal clear on what your expectations are from each member of the team. As we're looking at deliverables, which definitely is a task focus, I want you to always stay laser focused on the relationships. I've seen people move forward and trudge ahead with meeting the deadlines, with meeting the expectations. The deliverable is done, and they've totally wrecked the relationships. And in this organization, okay, maybe let's just say you won this particular check mark, right? But you lost the war. If you lose your relationships at MTA, you have lost the war. You need to have the ability, because some of our processes can be long. It's no other way to say it. You need to have the ability to pick up the phone and say, hey, did you get my email? Or, hi, I'm working on, and someone on the other end of that phone, not just pick up the phone, but be willing to help you to meet your goals. The same as you're willing to help people meet their goals. So, collaboration, creativity that opens up the space for others to participate. How can you do it? Using technology and data. Be clear on the focus and the role and the relationships. I can't mention this word deliverables without mentioning a team that I work with. So here's a real story. So the flyer that's circulating around provides me an opportunity to share with you some of the virtual work that I've had an opportunity to do with none other than my sisters in empowering women in transit. And this word deliverables is key for us because all of the employee resource groups have an executive sponsor. We are lucky to have Bobby Deal as our executive sponsor. And he makes sure that we understand that what EWT is responsible for is deliverables. So we work together as a team. We assure that we're considering the relationships. And I want to tap into, like, what teams are you working with where the executive sponsor is really making it laser clear? So you see me with these hands, right? Because I mentioned this last week as well, that funnel effect. Here's the big picture. The executive sponsor certainly has it. He's talking to us about deliverables and keeping us on track. And then we as a team get to collaborate and produce. It's amazing. Honestly, it feels pretty good to tap into that. So what are some tips that you can use, especially in this virtual world, to assure that people are not just hearing your deliverables, but actually understanding your deliverables? Well, how about this one? How about clarifying what success looks like? That's a huge tip. Like, often we're trudging along, we're doing the work, and everybody's kind of doing what their little piece is. And I'll just say that's a little bit old school. Nothing wrong with old school, nothing wrong with tradition. But when we're talking about how we get work done and how changes impact how we get work done, it's really important for us to understand that we as an organization, we as an individual need to have the ability to pivot, right? To change when situations change. For instance, right? COVID, we needed to change. And here we are, we're in this virtual world. And now I want to assure that you understand that a big component in the virtual world for you assuring that your deliverables get met is for you to incorporate feedback sessions and include visuals. What does that look like, Sharice? Sharice, what are you talking about? I'm talking about Metro North. Look at this. This is from a media story, and Metro North utilized their Metro Man to get across the message that in our MTA systems, we're doing mass. That's what we're doing. We're doing safety. And Metro Man not only gave out masks, but Metro Man also gave out flowers. Say it with me. Say, ah. I like it. And at NYCT, we're having the same message, right? Here are the beautiful smiling faces. Notice you can't see their mouth, right? So you can't see the smile, but don't you still know that they're smiling? How do you know that they're smiling? You can see a smile in a person's eyes. Yes. And so here is Tony and Monique, and they were in a subway station giving out masks and pulling forward with those bright yellow t-shirts the message that we are New York tough. That's you, MTA. Here's another message from the same premise, right? At our organizations, we do masks, but this message is here in words. Here's the exact same message, but with the visuals added. So the words are there, but the visuals being added. Now, if you had to choose between the message with the visuals or the message with just the words, tell us in the Q&A, which one do you think is going to come across this small square, this screen, as more clear? Yes, the visuals. Some of you are starting to answer me back. The visuals. So as impactful as it is for me to get this message across to you is as impactful as you can be in your projects and in your teams with sharing visuals to help people understand where you're at in the project, what's next in the project, who has what role in the project. Many of our departments, let's just say, are having issues with this because something as simple as having the org chart is important as a visual, especially when we're working in all of these different situations and people are changing day by day. The visuals are a key component, tip, hint, whatever you want to call it, for moving forward in this virtual world and assuring that people actually understand what you're expecting of them and how the team is moving forward. So use visuals. Mm-hmm. What we're looking to do is for us to have summit outcomes. So you've seen this page before if you came to session number 1. And how do we move forward in the visual world with deliverables? Let's shift deliverables to include understanding. So far, we've got some tips of being visual or including the visual. What's also important is that your deliverables include the why. So oftentimes, let's just be transparent, right? In our organization, there's also politics. And so sometimes maybe the leader can't say the why, right? That it is actually something that is confidential. But you're better off as the leader saying, hey, I can't tell you the why right now. We're moving forward with this. This is confidential information. But as soon as I can tell you the why, I will explain more. Adults, grown-ups, intelligent people, people who are thinking with their brains, which many of the project managers are just, we're tapped in, right? We're tapped into doing a good job. It just makes more sense for people to understand the why. More importantly, you're going to get people to actually tap into how they're moving forward, why they're bringing their skills to this, why maybe they're doing extra hours for this, right? The why is key. Please connect people to the bigger picture of how your part of the organization is moving forward and why this project is a key project and of value to the organization. Help people connect the dots to the work that they're doing and how it connects to moving New York and the surrounding areas. Oh, went too far. do your homework on the approval process, right? You heard me say or mention once already that our approval processes can be long. We don't always know what all of the pieces are. And the best way that I can explain this is to connect it to kind of like the science of this, right? So we had the industrial age and we were producing. But the key to the industrial age is that you were producing your little part, I was producing my little part, she was producing her little part. And when we put all those parts together, it made something, right? We're no longer in that age. In the industrial age, it was very hierarchical. And it mattered to push these things along in a specific way, because if you didn't, then the total project would be a bust, right? We're in the information age now. Simple as that. And we're probably moving beyond that to, I don't know what's next yet. It hasn't been named. But currently we're in the information age. So people are right now accustomed to pushing the button and having endless opportunities for knowledge appear. When we're talking about these approval processes that are not always clear, you need to do your homework, because people want to know. They're working hard on these deliverables, but what do they need to actually get the approval done? You need to have a process in place, and preferably, since we're in the virtual world, make that process visual, right? In the Lean Six Sigma world, we call it the as-is process. Just take a look at where the project is right now and what it will actually take for this piece to be approved. And put that in a visual space so that everybody who's on that project understands what it takes to actually get approvals and how long that's going to take, right? Then you get to manage everyone's expectations, including your executive sponsor, right? Who may have you with a certain deadline, but you know that it takes longer than that for this thing to get approved. But the best way for you to have or maintain the relationship and the trust of your executive sponsor is to have the ability to show them how long this process takes. So as much as possible, do your homework and make that process visual. Utilize this because data communicates the story. Simple as that. So I know so many teams that they're just kind of doing data to do data. And you want to assure that when you're pulling the pieces together, that you have your data tell a story. Last but certainly not least, you want to incorporate or include, in the ideal world, right, many feedback sessions that then provide opportunities for everything that we just spoke about, right? Collaboration, to build relationships. And each of these sessions allows different people to tell you where they're at with the projects. Just schedule the feedback sessions in. So that leads me to the homework. Here's your homework. Add an agenda item to discuss with the team, what does success look like for this project? Just go ahead and fast forward all the way to the end. Since I'm asking you to schedule these feedback sessions, I want you to put it on the calendar. Just put a space on your calendar for 15 minutes so that you know that you've got a daily slot set aside for 15 minutes. Doesn't matter which team member you're going to meet with, but this allows people to weigh in with you and give you some updates on where they're at with the deliverables. Last but certainly not least, this is the review from last week, but the review is also important. We want to keep moving forward with these learning points, right? Attend meetings with your camera on, and add an agenda question that provides and opens the space for introductions. Wow, just that quick. Guess what? It's 12:30. How was this session for you? Tell us in the Q&A. I don't have a survey for you this time, and I just want to check in with my two co-hosts and see if there's anything else that they want to say. Rick and Yvelle.
Sure. Sharice, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you for the smile. Thank you for the energy. And thank you so much for the knowledge. It's Yvelle Stanford again. And as you can see, we've spent time listening to you. We're offering micro-learning, short bits, just to get you comfortable with navigating your technology through MS Teams, through Zoom, and being at home. So we're also working across the agency, making collaborations with MTFT, with HQ to stay abreast of the new software or new challenges that appear on our desktops. So we've developed training for many teams across the organization. Don't hesitate to reach out to us. We want to help you with your hard work. So with that, I want to say thank you. You're going to get an email from us that has the 60 courses that we worked on over the 14 weeks. We worked really hard to support you. So look forward to that and look forward to the next session. Thank you, Sharice.
Please sign up for session 3. Oh, I'm going to mute you, Eva. I'm going to mute you. All right. Please sign up for session 3. You'll get a thank you email from us. And in that thank you email, you will have your link for session 3. We hope to see you next week right here on the 29th, 12 to 12:30. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. You don't have to. We appreciate you. This session was recorded. So if you'd like a copy of the recording, give us a couple of days and we can get that information to you too. I'm going to stop the recording now.